I tend to be hesitant to say this out loud, only because I don't relish intentionally irritating or angering people. Even though as I've grown older, I've become more willing to speak my mind, regardless of whether it comes off as confrontational or not. But I try to be careful with my words. I try to think through what I'm trying to say and make sure that I'm accurate in the things that I say. Having said that, though, and I don't think this is a big surprise to anybody, but I am an atheist. I don't believe, not only do I not believe in any gods, um, n- neither do I believe in anything supernatural. I don't believe that. I don't believe, I should say it's more accurate to say I'm not convinced that anything either exists supernaturally or that supernatural events occur. And by that I mean supernatural, anything that would originate from outside of the universe, outside of the natural universe in which we find ourselves. I'm not convinced that any of that actually occurs. I'm not convinced that there's a god or gods out there existing in some alternate reality. I just don't believe in it, and that makes me an atheist. If you engage in any of these kind of discussions, the argument is around. It can be around. Are you a hard atheist? Or a new atheist, or a hard atheist, or a hard atheist is someone who says, "I know there are no gods." I state positively that no gods exist, and a new atheist tends to be somebody, or at least as people argue these things, tends to be somebody who says, um, I'm just not convinced." And as you can tell, I fall into that latter category. I think it would be as um, almost equally as arrogant to claim that there is no God or gods or no other reality as it would be to claim that there is a God, a specific God, even, or gods and alternate realities. I think both ends of that argument share the same level of arrogance in the elevation of the human experience, well beyond what it's capable of, if I can say it like that. But yeah, so I'm an atheist. I don't believe that I'm just not convinced. People, of course, as everyone is aware, people claim this stuff just uh, ad nauseum. Just always talking about, God did this, God did that, God is this, God is that. Uh, you know, the thought experiment that I've run through my mind over the last, I don't know, however long, last few years, I suppose, is that I'm willing to allow, for the sake of the conversation, the idea that there is a God and that this God can intervene, intercede, or not intercede, but intervene, somehow interrupt the human experience in real time and make itself known to individuals. And it can be done a number of ways, according to the Bible. God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. Jesus became flesh. God became flesh in the form of an apocalyptic preacher. The Paul had a road to Damascus experience. So God is, at least in the Christian scriptures, is has a reputation of, in fact, directly engaging with people. So my thought experiment goes something like, I'll yield that claim to you. It's all yours. So the way we're going to test that is you're just going to stop talking. Just be quiet. Just do not say another word to me. In fact, on this matter, don't ever say anything to me about it again. Because, you're interfering with the ability of God to say something to me directly. And you need to just be quiet and let God demonstrate himself sufficiently to me. So why don't we just leave it at that? You stop talking. You stop talking to me about that in particular. And I'll just keep an open mind. I'm not going to bend the knee because you or anyone else like you tells me that I'm obligated to do so. I don't know where the address of this particular verse is in the New Testament, but I think it's in Philippians. But every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. I mean, it's sort of it's going to be put upon you. You're going to have no choice but to go, oh my God, there's God. So, Christianity is one of those religions like Islam. Not so much Judaism, but I suppose it depends on whether you're a fundamentalist Jewish person or not. But at least of the monotheist religions, they all have that ingredient of claiming that at some point the inevitability of God is going to be what did I say? The inevitability of the irrefutable God, or whatever language you want to put in there to make it make sense to you. We're all going to have to bow the knee, or bow the head, bend the knee and bow the head, or whatever. So, but for the meantime, what I get stuck with in all of this is the fact that I have to listen to the so-called the people who are the so-called spokesmen for God. Well, God uses man. Well, yeah, okay, sort of. He doesn't always. Sometimes he speaks for himself. So why don't you just kind of, you don't impress me with your arguments. You are insisting that I believe in absurdities. And I won't do it. I don't believe there's a naked couple in a garden who spoke to a talking serpent. Just don't believe it's true. The parting of the Red Sea. I mean, we go down the list, resurrecting apocalyptic preachers. I just don't believe it. I always get stuck with the people who claim to be speaking for God rather than letting God speak for himself or herself or itself or whatever, label you want to put on the deity. Why not just be quiet? Don't say anything. Live your life. Live your life with the quiet confidence that you're better than everybody else, or you're more right than everybody else. But until this God of yours represents himself directly to me or directly to the world in some fashion, then I'm going to remain in my agnostic atheism position. Well, you don't understand. I know I don't understand. Well, look, just because you're a master of your doctrinal theology doesn't make you right. You might be able to argue these nuances of doctrine to yourself and to other people within your circles, and you come out the victor. But it's still, that does not necessarily have any basis in reality. So I don't know where I'm going with all of this. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in supernatural things, and I am more willing to face the reality that I am in, a physical universe operating on physical principles and properties and laws or whatever the case may be. Because that's all I have to work with. This idea that there's some unseen, otherworldly drama that is going on behind the scenes. Yeah, it's it doesn't ring true to me. It rings gullibility. It rings falsehood. It rings absurdity in my when people say these things to me. Anyway, that's just where I'm at this morning. Been thinking about this and um, just thinking about this idea. I wish all those fundamentalist, evangelicals would, honestly just shut the fuck up. If your God is so powerful, the King of Kings and all this kind of nonsense, just shut up and let him do it and let him speak for himself. Because in most of the cases, when you speak for him, it's not coming out real well. Anyway, I can keep beating the dead horse, but I'm an atheist and I'm happy for it.